today's video, I'm going to show you how I start these Kumihimo bracelets. I use 3 different methods. I'm sure there are more out there, but these are the ones that I really like to use. The easiest is this one with the clasps that just glue into the ends. My favorite, maybe it's just because I like the look of the tassels at the end, but this one has a loop on one side and then the tassels that you can feed through the loop and tie together. The most challenging one is this one. It's got a wrap on both ends and some of the string is twisted to form the ties. So it will look like that when you put it on. Pretty cool. You don't really need anything else for it. In order to do these, you're going to need glue. The EZ I used for this bracelet. The fray check I use actually for both of these bracelets. Fray check is really great because it's somewhat flexible, but will hold the strands together and they won't come unraveled. I really like fray check. Obviously scissors, embroidery floss, a measure tape. You can buy one of these kits on Amazon that has different size clasps, and it even has the little clip inside jump rings. The biggest thing that you're gonna need, you can make these, this is not very expensive. You could, all of these came in this kit, but these little foam boards are the magic. It's the key to make these bracelets look so nice and uniform. And the first one I made, I used a cardboard and I only had 8 strands and it was fine. It looked okay, but it wasn't great. And when you get into more strands and more complex bracelets, these are lifesavers. There's arrows that keep you turning this in the right direction. These little slits in the foam hold the strands really nice and tight so you can get a good cohesive and even look with the patterns. The next thing that you're gonna need is a design. So this is the design I'm going to be making today. This is a 16 strand, 3 colors. So this website is the friendshipbracelets.net in the Kumihimo section. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. But there are tons of different patterns that you can choose. You can even choose bracelets with 24 strings or 40 strings. I mean, the possibilities are endless here. I have so many saved, more bracelets that I'm probably going to ever have time to make. And the really cool thing about these bracelets is all you need is a picture of what your design is going to look like and then the starting, how to set up the strands. This website does have a tutorial to show you how to do it with, I think the tutorial has like 34 strands or something, but it's pretty simple, and all you need is how to lay out your strands in the beginning and then the pattern that it's going to make, and it'll tell you, you're going to need 16 strings and it's got 3 colors right there. Okay, so I have not yet come across a bracelet that needs more than 40 to 50 centimeters in length. In fact, I've cut off quite a lot of string on some of these. So for a typical wrist, I would say you'd need 40 to 50 centimeters of your string. You shouldn't need too much more than that. I always have tons of waste. Now, if you're going to make this into something even bigger, longer, like a necklace or a dog collar. I've seen people make them dog collars with with bigger thread. You're going to need more than that. But for a typical bracelet, you're not going to need too much more. And this one was actually started as a bracelet, but I forgot to stretch it and it became an anklet. So this goes on my ankle and it's pointy. And you can see here with this one, even if I put the knot on the other side, this is like 36 centimeters. So 50 centimeters is plenty. For the first one, I'm going to teach you how to do this one. Okay. So in my picture, I've got my starting picture. I have 7 of the purple strands. I have 5 of this light pink, and then 4 of the red. So what I like to do is create I'm going to basically fold the strands. I'm going to make them 50 centimeters long and fold them in half. Now, obviously some of these I cannot do that because I have an odd number of strands. I'm going to show you what you need to do for that. So we're going to start with this green, and we're going to make the green, we're going to turn the green into, let's see, I think I'll turn the green into this light pink that's going here. So I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I need 5 strands of the pink. So this is a perfect example here. I'm gonna get my measure tape out, and I'm gonna have 5 strands, which means if I have 2 strands folded over, that's 4, and then I can add my 5th strand. Okay. And any one that's not folded over, any strand that's not folded over, I add just a tiny bit, and I'll show you why. I think I'm gonna do the blue. This is something to think about. I want the blue color to be this color on the outside. So one of those blue colors I'm gonna need to make a little bit longer. So we're gonna start here. I'm not gonna use that measure tape anymore. This will be my halfway point. I'm gonna fold it. So that is 1 strand, but it's 2 strands. It's 1 strand folded in half, okay? So I'm gonna come to the end here. I'm gonna cut that. I need 1 more of those. Okay. Oh, clearly I need to get some new scissors. So now I have 4 strands of this green. I need 1 more. So this time I'm gonna go, and this is the middle. I'm gonna go and add, what is that? Probably about 1.25 inches longer. And then I'm gonna cut it. And the reason why is because I'm going to use this strand, and it's gonna kind of fold over right there, because this is the halfway point where that is going to be made. So I've just kind of added a tail for that to be caught in the weaving that I do around it, but it's not actually gonna create another strand down the bottom, okay? So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the green, the red as the orange, and I need 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so this one's perfect because I just need 2 long strands. The hardest part is figuring out your colors and how you think it will look based on the colors that they have on the website. Sometimes they don't quite look as pretty, and sometimes the colors look nicer next to each other than they will in the bracelet. I'll give you an example. This one right here, this actually has 3 different colors of blue right here, but you can't, now that they're together, it's really hard to tell that there's 3 different colors of blue there, and it's supposed to look like a variant, like a gradient, and it doesn't. Didn't know that until I was making it. All right, so now the purple is gonna be the blue, and I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I need 7. Ooh, I hope I have enough of this blue. Okay, so one of these strands, I need it to be longer because it's the strand that I'm going to use to make the covering of the middle. So I've got 1, there's 2, which is 4 strands. I need 1 more, and I'm going to make this one. I need 1 more like long strand, and I'm gonna make this one actually longer. And I'm gonna do, let's see, I'm probably gonna do about 20 centimeters longer. Okay, so that's 6 strands. And now I have 1 strand that is not going to be folded over. So I'll start this one down here at the end. I'm gonna go all the way, and I'm gonna cut it right at the same line as that green one. Okay, so now I've got my 1 strand that's longer, and I'm gonna go ahead and pull it apart so I can set it aside. And all the rest of them, I've got right here. Okay, so I'm going to pull them apart so that I've got all of the middles, all the ends that are, you know, the middle. And I want this strand of blue to be on the same side as that green one because I want to make sure I catch them. And I'm just going to separate this. I don't have to separate it all the way out to the bottom because I don't need it to, but I'm going to just because I like it. Okay, so we've got, this is the center. These are the extras here, but this is the center right here. All right, so if you've done any sort of bracelet making before or macrame, this is going to be very familiar to you. Okay, I'm going to find the center of this. Okay, that's the center, and I'm going to find, I already know where the center is for these because I've done it before, but I'm going to place this here, and then I'm going to feed both of my ends into there, and I'm going to pull that tight. Getting it situated and centered, and I'm going to pull that tight. Okay? Now I'm going to work down a little bit on one side, and then I'll come back and work down a little bit on the other side. Okay? So we're basically going to work a, let's see, we're going to do a 4 with the string in front. We're going to pull it up to the top, and then we're going to work a 4 with the string behind, and we're going to pull it down. Okay, see that? Pulling nice and tight. All right, so same thing again, 4 with the string in front, pulling up, the 4 with the string in back. All right, so I'm going to do this. You can see on this one I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 7 on either side of like the center. So it's 7 here, 7 here. There's like 14 total. This number is going to depend on how big you want this loop to be. If you want this loop to be even smaller, then do less. If you want the loop to be even bigger, then do more. I typically stay between the 12 and 14 range because I kind of like them to be smaller. So I'm going to create 1, 2, 3. I've got 3 here now. I'm going to create 3 more, and then I'm going to turn it to this side, and I'm going to make more. So same thing on this side, even though your 4 is on the opposite side here. We're going to go in front, and the biggest thing on this side is that I want to make sure that I am catching these ends in each one that I do, right? And it's going to get a little bit challenging depending on how many you did, how many you want, or how big you want your loop. You might get to the end and these are already caught, and then you'll have to keep going. But I'm going to keep doing this down. So now I'm going to do the 4 and back. This is the left side for me, so this is tricky, and the way that I'm holding this makes it even trickier. You can use a piece of tape and tape this to a surface, which will make it easier, or a clip or a clipboard, or you know, whatever you want to do to make this easier for you. But you're doing the same thing. 4 with the string in front, pulling tight. Okay. And then 4 with the string in back. And you want your string to be pulled the same side every time. It's going to make it look cleaner. It's going to make it look nicer. Okay, so I'm going to finish this and then I'm going to come back. Okay, now that I have all of my stitches here, I'm going to keep the 2 strands that I used out. Okay, I'm going to bring this together. All right, you're going to create your little loop here. I'm going to bring this together. Now I'm going to create, I don't know what this knot is called, but it's basically the knot that you use to do those paracord bracelets, or, you know, some macrame bracelets where they have like the beads, they've got a section and then they have the beads. That's what we're going to do here to connect these two. Okay, so I'm going to do this kind of quickly just because this knot is everywhere on the internet, okay? You can find better tutorials for it for here, but I want to get to the point where we're starting to make the bracelet. So it goes, and you can tell I still have my little strands from those ones that don't go all the way down. I'm going to go in front. I'm going to go around that strand, the back, pulling it up. Okay. Then I'm going to pull this tight, making sure to nestle the strands, the blue, right up next to those, the ending there, okay? So now I'm gonna do it on the opposite side. I'm gonna make my 4 around the front. This is gonna go around that right strand, under the main threads, and up through this. And then I'm going to pull tight. Obviously, this is a lot easier if you're going to tape or clamp your bracelet down. I'm trying to do this so that you could see really well. All right, so I did that a couple of times. You can see on this bracelet, I did it a couple of times. So I'm gonna do it one more time. 4 on the right side, over, under, up through. Okay, and one more time on the other side. A 4 on the left, over the tail, under the strings, up through the loop on the left. And then I'm gonna pull it tight. Okay, now I'm ready to start. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to take my scissors and cut these little tails. Oh man, I need new scissors. Okay, I'm gonna cut these tails in here. Now, when I get done with the bracelet, I'm gonna take my fray check and I'm gonna add some glue right here just to keep this tight, just to keep these strands from not ever getting loose. We're gonna use these in the bracelet, so they're gonna be integrated in, but I like to put a little bit of fray check right here just to keep this tight. This is my starting picture right here, and I want to arrange my strands the exact same way as this picture is that they give you. And the top is always 1 and 2. Now, if you look at this, you have to decide, is 1 this one or is 1 this one? Is it this mark here or is it this one here? That's up to you. It really doesn't matter. It's just whatever you pick, okay? So I chose the pink as my green. So I'm gonna put the loop and I'm gonna hold it right here on the back, okay? And I'm gonna pick a green. It doesn't really matter which green you pick or which one you pick, you know, which colors. If you wanna get really precise, you can try and pick them from, you know, the closest that they are and relative to where you're gonna put them, but it really doesn't matter, okay? So I've got green on my 1, and then this purple, which is going to be the blue, is 2. Okay, now I know this is 16 strands, this is 32, and I know there's going to be 2 spaces in between. Okay, so instead of going to 3 and 4, I'm going to go to 5 and 6. And I've got 2 purples, which is 2 blues. Okay, so I'm going to keep going all the way around, lining all of my strands exactly how the picture shows. All right, now it's very important that you get your strings tight. I don't mean like so banjo string type that you can make sound with them, but you want them tight. You can see here that the first strands that I put in are pretty loose because I was just starting. So gently pull your strings, and you want to get your little loop to be in the middle. So I pull it to the middle, and then I'm going to pull all of my strings evenly. All right, now I've got everything nice and positioned. These bracelets have 3 steps to them. It's a 3-step repeat for the whole thing. Okay, they're very simple. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to work in opposites, okay? So these two and these two are always work together. 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 Always. All right. So you're going to pick up the bottom left, bring it up to the top left, top right, down to the bottom right. Okay. And then we're going to turn. And these foam boards are awesome because they have the arrows that will remind you. You're going to turn counterclockwise. Okay. First step, bottom left, top left. Second step, top right, bottom right. Third step, turn. Here we are again. Bottom left, up to the top left, top right, to the bottom right. Turn. Okay. Same thing. This is the bracelet. This is what you're doing. And then you're going to turn. So bottom left strand up, and I am pulling taut on this, okay? I am pulling tight because I want all these little stitches to look even. So I'm pulling tight. Bottom left, top right, bottom right. Bottom left, top right, bottom right. And I'm turning. Same thing. Now, a trick that you can already see this is starting to get tangled. A trick that I do is that I like to, when I lift up the bottom right, the left, I bring it down. I like to drag my finger all the way down the length of the rope or the string so that you can make sure it's untangled. Like that. All right, so we are pretty much we've done one full rotation. We are at the top again. So if you decide that you want to put this down or something happens and you're not doing this continuously, the easiest way to tell where you need to get started is to look at your strings. You can see that these strings are the ones that we just did, and they are the furthest apart in the center. You even can tell that this strand right here comes across all these strands right here. That was your last worked one. So the next one you're going to work are these two. You can tell these two are the most pinched together because they've worked, each string has worked continually all the way around, making them closer together. So the next turn that you would do is this bottom left to the top right, down to the bottom right. And now you can tell these strands look exactly like these ones used to. This strand is over these ones, so you just work that. And we're turning it again. Now these ones are the tightest. They make this little V pattern. These ones look more like an H or a ladder. Okay, they're more parallel, whereas these are not. So that's the best way to tell where you're at and where you need to get started for the next. Very repetitive, easy to remember, easy to get going. Okay, so I'm going to work for just a bit so that we can get the pattern, so you can see the pattern coming through. And then I'll talk about tips as you're working this. So I've been working on this, I don't know, probably about 10, not even 10 minutes, but you can already see the pattern forming on the end, on this little spot here. Now, these bracelets, they have a lot of stretch in them. Right when you're making them, they have a lot of stretch in them. The problem that I had with this one was that I made it, I put the little things on it, I put it on my wrist, and immediately it stretched out and was too big for my wrist, so then it became an anklet. This was my tester. This was my first one. I was learning. I have since then learned that you have to pre-stretch this. All right, so this is just a little bit, so you might not even be able to see how much stretch it has. But what I like to do as I'm working, and please make sure when you're doing this that you are checking this often. Make sure that you haven't skipped a section, and you've gone to the next one and you've skipped spots. Make sure that you're looking, because it's really not great when you realize you have made a mistake and it's so far down that it will take forever to unpick and redo what you've done. So check it often, okay? I like to put my finger on the working spot area right here and then just pull I've kind of reinforced with my thumb. Did you see that stretch? Look how much longer that is now, even just this tiny little bit. So these stretch, okay? Then everything is a little loose. I just kind of pull my strings, tighten everything back up, and then keep going. Okay, so look at your pattern often, making sure that it is exactly how the pattern shows. So you know you're on the right track. You've not missed anything. You've not skipped anything. Stretch it. Okay. Keep your strings tight. I mean, you can tell the amount of give that I have right here. It's not a ton, but it's tight. Okay. Really work at making sure that when you move your strands, you are pulling your fingers all the way through so that you do not get knots and get tangles. All right, I'm gonna work on this and we're gonna come back when we're ready to do the bottom here. And then I will show you how to get started and finished doing this one. If you really want a tutorial for this, I'll do one, I'll make one. It's not my favorite and I don't want this video to be too terribly long. So I'm gonna skip this one in this video and maybe come back to it, but we're gonna come back when I'm ready to finish this bracelet. I am back. I have finished my bracelet here. I have made sure to stretch it so I know that this isn't going to stretch after I get done. So what we're going to do is we're going to take half of the strings and twist them together and then tie them at the knot and a knot at the end, and then the other half of the strings the same thing. So what I like to do is if there's like specific colors, so here we've got 3 of the blues and you know it's not quite even, you can do it however you want, but if you want to group colors together you can do that. If not, it's not that big of a deal. But what I usually will do is I will take half of the strands, okay, and in one hand, and then I have half in the other hand. What I usually do is I will pin this, like, I'll pinch it between my knees. So I'll put one knee on this side and one knee on this side and pinch it together so that it holds this still. That way it's a little bit easier, but for demonstration purposes, I'm just gonna kind of put it right here on the ground. So what we wanna do, I'm gonna zoom in a little so that you can see this better, is we're gonna take one side and we're going to twist it. Now you're gonna twist to the right. So I am twisting to the right. I'm going to take the other 4 strands and do the same thing. We're going to twist to the right. Okay. And then I'm going to twist these 2 together, but I'm going to twist them the opposite way to the left. Okay. And this is what I usually do, is I will twist to the right, overlap, or like twist it together, and then twist this one to the right, and twist them together, twist to the right. And what you will have is a really nice cord that doesn't untwist. Same thing, I'm always twisting with my right hand to the right, and then I overlap the other one on the left, towards the left. Twist to the right, overlap, twist to the right, overlap. You can see how when I'm doing this, I'm actually using my hand to stabilize this foam board to the ground. But if I were to have this like pinched between my knees here, this would be holding tight and I wouldn't have to do that. But here, this is what I'm doing. So I'm putting my pressure of my hand on this as I'm doing it. It tends to go a lot faster too when I've got it pinched between my knees because it's just easier. It's not forcing me to hold my hand on this to keep this steady. You could always also tape it to something if you wanted to. I don't want to do any extra steps. So this is how I do it. Now, you make this however long you want to. You can see I've still got quite a lot of string to work with here at the end. If you want to make this really, really long, you can. If you want it to be short and only able to tie a small little knot in it, then that's fine. But how far you continue to twist down is going to be dependent on you. Once you get to where you feel pretty good, you're just going to tie, I just basically tie like a little overhand knot, and I pull it. Okay, and I'm gonna pull nice and tight. To be honest, I make these kind of long, and then when I tie them to my wrist, I have a better idea of how much I need, and I always end up adjusting that knot anyway. Okay, now we're gonna do the same thing with this one, except now we can go ahead and pull this completely off of our piece. This one, you can do the same thing. You can safety, or not safety pin, but you can tape it to something to make it a little bit easier, but the process is going to be the same. I'm twisting to the right and then twisting the two together to the left. And you can see I'm just kind of using my fingers to hold this, but if you want to put this, a piece of tape over and hold this secure on like a clipboard or a table, you can do that. And then I'm going to tie the knot here. And there you are, your finished bracelet. You do not have to worry about this end coming open or coming out. It's not going to. These strands are tight, are twisted here, and so they're not going to come unraveled on the inside. Okay, you can. Okay, now to do this one, which is the easiest one, you're going to cut your strings. I have already cut my strings here. Okay, and this one actually needs not nearly as much. So this goes around my ankle and it's very loose on my ankle. So I really don't need as much string to do this one as well, because I'm not making tassels. Okay, especially if I'm making this for a bracelet, I only need the bracelet. And you also have to think, this right here is going to take up space. So make sure that you account for that when you're sizing your bracelet, depending on how big. Now I have a very, very large jump ring here. It's actually a split ring, because at the time I was impatient and that's the only thing I could find in my room. So it's quite a lot bigger than what needs to be there. But you have to take into consideration how big the length of your clasp when you are measuring your bracelet, okay? And once you do that, if you consider that this part here, I mean, and this is the bracelet, this bracelet fits my wrist, I really only needed to make about this much. So you can go a lot shorter with your strands when you're making this style. I have cut my strands already. These are about 30, I'm measuring it here against this. They're about 39 or 38 centimeters. It's way too much, but I don't want to cut it too close because I want to be able to have the amount, you know, a length at the very end that I want the length to reach from the center to the outside. I don't want a ton of extra, but I also don't want them to get to a point where it's too short and I can't keep going with my design. This one, for right now, all you're going to do is you're going to gather all of your ends together in one spot. We're going to do a knot and we're going to pull it, not terribly tight. This knot is not staying. It's not staying here. So you don't want it to be too tight. You want it to be secure, but not too tight, because we are going to end up taking this knot out later once we get done. Now it's just a matter of doing the exact same thing that we did previous. You're going to put the knot in the hole inside your foam board, and then you're going to start lining up your strands in the configuration that it shows on your pattern. And you're going to create your pattern the same way we did before, stretching it as you go until you have your desired length. And then we'll come back and I will show you how we're going to attach the ends and finish off the bracelet. I have finished my bracelet. So it's time to add the little clasps at the end. I've already added my jump ring to both sides and the little claw clasp. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to work on this side, this end that's already connected, because this one's already tied off, and we'll just deal with that after. So it's going to feel kind of scary because you don't want your bracelet to unravel, but you're just gonna take it all the way off. Okay, now you can pick any of these strings. It doesn't matter which one you pick. I'm gonna pick the longest one. Okay, and I'm going to just do like a 4 knot. You're just wanting to kind of tie off that spot. Okay, and I pull really, really, really tight. Okay, then I'm going to wrap this. Sorry, that noise, there was motorcycles outside. I'm gonna wrap this and try to keep the wraps close to each other. And then once I get down, you do not want to wrap longer than the clasp. That's how long you need to, to go. You don't want to go too far because this is going to be stuck down inside. And I think that's going to be fine. So you really only want to go about 2/3 of the depth in from how deep your little clasp goes. And then I'm just going to tie it off again. Okay. Then what I do is I personally like to use super glue because it dries really fast and it's going to create a really rough surface. And of course, I think my super glue is, oh, there we go. It's going to create a rough surface for the other glue, the easy glue that we're going to use to stick it inside to connect to. I don't want anything flexible. I want it to be very stiff. So I put the glue on. I do not cut it yet. You're not going to cut it yet. You're going to let that glue dry solid and then you're going to cut the ends. So in the meantime, I'm going to come over to this side and I'm going to do the exact same thing. Of course, these ends are a little bit shorter because I just tied it off there, but that's okay. I don't really need a whole ton. And you can even use 2 strands if you want to, so that it can be thicker. But essentially all I'm trying to do is create something that can hold these strands together that will hold the glue. You could use you can use another piece of string if you want to. If you want to add another piece, I don't really like to. I like to just use what's here. And it's very small. So it's going to be a little bit more challenging to tie a knot. And the other thing that this does is it creates a way to hold all of the strands together so that you can stick them down into the end of this easier. So I'm actually going to do a little bit of a bracelet method here. And I'm gonna do one at a time because they're so short. And like I said, all you're really trying to do is tie these ends down, add some glue so that it stays, and that way it's a lot easier to put them down into all right, so I feel like that's pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and add some glue. Okay, now this side is pretty done. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it. Okay, now I like to use the Easy 6000. I go ahead, I just stick the nozzle of the glue in and I'm just filling in there. Obviously If you fill too much, it's going to ooze out. If you don't fill enough, it's not going to coat the strands. So, you know, it's a little bit of a learning curve, but this is the easiest way to finish these bracelets. And then you're just going to push this down inside. Okay, there's glue coming out. That's fine. You can get a toothpick or a Q-tip or something. You know, the glue is going to tell you not to use your fingers. The glue is going to also tell you need to be in a ventilated area and you should be using gloves. You know, do as I say, not as I do. So that one now needs to dry. And I'm going to do the same thing for this side. Up. Get yourself a napkin. Push that down really firm. You want the ends to be down all the way as far as you can go. Okay? And it's going to look a lot nicer that way. You can choose the end that's a little bit smaller if you want, or you can pick one that's about the length, like this fits. See how this fits kind of nicely? I like to go with the thickness of the bracelet when choosing the ends, but that's completely up to you. You pick whichever one you want. And there you go. I still needed to stretch this a little before I was done, so this will gain a little bit of length, but there is your finished bracelet. Let it dry completely, and I hope you have enjoyed.